About today's Rangers show, I have bad news, good news, and great news. The bad news is Abby can't be with us today. The good news is we don't need Jeff to join us from a bourbon tasting room in Kentucky. The great news is we've got Mike Bacsik. Yes! Mike Bacsik here to talk Rangers with you and me next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Look at that handsome fella, Mike Bacsik, who, by the way, you'll learn more about this in just a few minutes, but he was once teammates with Skip Schumaker. So he's got some interesting perspectives on that hire and, of course, interesting perspectives on all things baseball, all things Rangers. John Radigan, Mike Bacsik, we've got the Queen Cat here today, and maybe in some ways it's good that we wish we would have had Jeff from a bourbon tasting room. I don't know.
Well, I'm surprised he's drinking bourbon because we've worked together a lot.
We have.
We worked at, whether you want to call it Fox or Bally's.
Yeah. Even the ticket way back in the day.
Right?
Yeah.
And I never had to have coffee and Coke and a styrofoam cup with caffeine, but every time I turn on YouTube and I'm watching DLLS Rangers, I notice Jeff Wilson has a Coca-Cola. He has an iced coffee. And I'm thinking, how much caffeine, Jeff, do you need to talk to my man, John Radigan?
Boy, no kidding. I'm the energy man here. No. And of course, then on a lot of times, especially on the nighttime shows, there will be a beer in front of him with the coffee and the Diet Coke or whatever kind of Coke. So we're hydrated. Yeah. So anyway, we're thrilled to have Mike here. I trust it's been a fine off season for you thus far?
It has. It's going quick.
Yeah.
The playoffs, for the most part, were awesome. The World Series, one of the best ever, especially Game 7. But here we are, November 5th. Here we are in free agency. Here we are with meetings that are going to start happening around baseball, and we'll see how quick teams and the Rangers move.
It's the 6th. Sorry.
Oh, it's the 6th.
Yeah.
See, look how fast it's going.
See there? I nodded like, oh, yeah, it's the 5th. No, it's the 6th. Yeah, so and there's all kinds of questions already in the chat. We'll get to those in just a minute. The spring training schedule came out yesterday, and the thing I like about that, it's like one of those moments. There it is. It's one of those moments where you go, oh, man, okay, we're already looking at spring training schedules. Tickets for spring training games, if you're going to go out there, and we hope that you will. Tickets for the games go on sale on the 2nd for individual games, 2nd of December. And you see on that thing, that green right there in the middle. And, Mike, that is each team is going to play a team from the World Baseball Classic.
Okay.
And that is Team Brazil that'll be playing the Rangers. And I think that's pretty cool. Like I did see today those are all on the 3rd and 4th of March. So you either have an off day or you play at one of the teams. Rangers get Brazil on the 4th. On the 3rd, Canada plays the Toronto Blue Jays.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
So I know on Team Canada, you'll have Freddie Freeman. I'm going to be honest. I don't know who's on Team Brazil. I can't tell you a person on it. I'm sure there are major leaguers that can play for Team Brazil, but interesting draw for the Rangers.
Yeah.
But, the World Baseball Classic.
It's awesome.
Oh, my gosh.
It's going to be fun.
3 years ago, I remember my son really wanted to go, and we were thinking about going to Miami.
Okay.
And that kind of had more of the Latin American teams there.
Sure.
The tickets were outrageous.
Really?
I was just like,
and they were at big league ballparks.
Yeah,
right?
because you had Puerto Rico and you had the Dominican Republic. I can't remember, but it was just because it was loaded with Latin American teams, and you were in Miami,
where there's
and you had all of these stars playing in it. It's something that I want to go to because it's a different environment than a Major League Baseball game.
It almost does. And Elvis Andrus used to tell me, and then he waved me off it late in his career. But early in his career, Elvis used to tell me, "You gotta come to Venezuela and see, his city against." I think it might have been the city that Omar Vizquel was from.
Okay.
Which
I know Caracas is a big one. My dad played for the Leones back in the 70s.
I think it's Caracas and then one that begins with an M.
Okay.
And when they play each other, he said it's Red Sox Yankees, right? And he said but he said it's like European soccer on steroids. They're so into it.
Yeah.
And so we know it's a different environment for that type of thing. So anyway, that's cool. The World Baseball Classic will be a part of our lives this upcoming spring, and of course, so will the Rangers. You don't know yet, but I assume there will be a couple of spring training games on the schedule for the RSN.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Last year, I'm going to assume there was probably 7 where Murph did a couple, 2 or 3. I did 4 or 5. That'll usually happen around mid-March rather than when you saw that schedule late February, early March. Usually you won't have the broadcast. Maybe MLB Network would pick up one of them or something.
Yeah.
But when Rangers RSN goes out there, I'm going to assume is around March 10th until about the end of spring training. And then you head on the road. I think it's Baltimore and Philadelphia or Philadelphia and Baltimore to start the year.
Yeah, and of course a couple of home games against Kansas City that are still exhibition, but they're at Globe Life Field.
Yeah.
Right there they're actually darn near the middle of March now.
Yeah.
I mean, opening day is like the 25th.
And it's amazing now in spring training that you don't need too much of a ramp up. I remember asking Chris Young, this was a year ago, after Jacob deGrom threw, I'm going to guess 15 innings at the end of 24, and Kumar Rocker barely threw in 2024. And I was saying, they worked so hard to pitch in September. And for Rocker, it was like August and September. I said, do they just now shut it down after all of that rehab? And he said, nowadays, pitchers don't really shut it down in, let's say, October and November. They want them throwing a little bit. Maybe not as an extreme as a season, obviously, but they don't want them just taking maybe 6 weeks off of no throwing a baseball.
Interesting. But you did.
Yeah, that was what was told to us, especially if you were a starting pitcher and you got, let's say, 150 or more innings in a season. They're like, you need time off from throwing. We don't want you taking time off from cardio and weightlifting and all that stuff. But nowadays, guys come into spring training and they're throwing the ball mid-90s and throwing 60, 70 pitch bullpen. So now it's not so much of a ramp up.
Yeah. So sprint. That's why the pitchers are generally ahead although yet the pitchers still are the ones that need more time.
The starting pitchers.
As much
honestly,
the
relievers need 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Starting pitchers need time to get built up.
Yeah.
Maracay, I think is how you say it. Thank you, Leon. That is the other team that from Venezuela. Okay, and the game times for the home games have been announced too. And, there's no real surprises there. 3:05 for opening, the home opener.
Okay.
And, that's really cool. And that's, it's like you don't have the road games because the road team gets to decide. But basically, I looked at the schedule for the home game, game times. It's about like normal, 6:05 on Saturdays.
Okay.
Instead of if they're a night game. Some of them. And
the games can change if they're national games.
Right. They can change I noticed there was one. I for sure saw one Saturday game because it was the Tigers, so I had to see, and it was 3:05. Yeah. So anyway, but
I wonder who will be the opening day starter for the Tigers.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't think it'll be Skubal.
You think they're going to trade him?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we've got so much to talk about. I don't think they better not. But anyway, we'll get to that. That's a different topic, maybe even a different day. The news today, or it came out, it started to break last night, is that Bruce Bochy is finalizing a deal, Mike, to be a part of the front office of the San Francisco Giants. And of course, he had an open invitation to do that with the Rangers as well. Now, he spent 3 years in the Rangers organization, 13 in the Giants organization. Is it as simple as that? Also, Buster Posey
Yeah.
is the big dog there, who was one of, if not his favorite player, right?
Yeah.
Helped him to 3 World Series. I mean, talk us through this, that Boch going back to San Francisco.
One, loved being around Boch.
Yeah.
But I will say that usually when a relationship ends, even if it ends mutually or cordially, there's maybe a pull to go somewhere else.
Yep.
And that somewhere else is very comfortable for him.
Right.
So, and then also, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. The San Francisco Giants new manager, I'm drawing a blank.
Tony Vitello.
Vitello, thank you. He's never managed at the major league level, correct?
He has not.
So what a guy to have.
Yes.
In Bruce Bochy to bounce every once in a while questions off of or text him. Hey, how did you handle this situation mentally with this type of player? How did you handle, a 7th inning that played out last night? Would you have done anything different to have something like that in your back pocket for Buster Posey, for his new manager making his way in the major leagues? I think it's a great fit for Boch. Obviously, he knows Chris Young. Chris Young brought him back into Major League Baseball, but I can see why he chose the Giants over the Rangers. I don't know if it was a tough decision. You'd have to ask Boch on that stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. And, the official word was that it was a mutual decision. Jeff and we have heard and, feel it wasn't quite as mutual as the Rangers are painting it, and that, in fact, Boch would have liked to come back as the manager, but there has been no confirmation of that from Boch or anyone else, and now he moves on to San Francisco, and so, good on him. Also going to San Francisco and joining the staff, I think it's going to be on the coaching staff, although it's a yet determined position on the staff, Jace Tingler.
Okay.
So Jace was with Rocco Baldelli, of course, in Minnesota. That staff got broomed at the end of last year. But Jace is a former manager of the Padres for a couple of years, and of course, a long time in the Rangers organization, kind of cutting his teeth. Very popular in the Rangers organization, and again, a guy with managerial experience who will be sitting on the bench. I think I'm pretty sure it'll be his bench coach, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But sitting on the bench with Vitello.
Yeah, it'll be interesting in San Francisco because you have the Dodgers. They're obviously not going away.
Right.
And then you have the Padres, who are a very good team on paper still. And so it's tough for San Francisco. Arizona is still a nice team. They had a down year. I think they're probably looking to bounce back and believe that they can play over 500 baseball. But San Francisco is in a tough situation because of the Dodgers. And then the Padres are still pretty strong at going after it. I think they're going to have an interesting offseason too, with Craig Stammen becoming their new manager. And then also their disappointment in the playoffs on the path that they take. Because I don't think the Padres are just going to come back as the same team and go, we just hope we do better in October, or hope we win 95 games again with the same team. Yeah,
how would you? So, he, in fact, mentioned Stammen, who you played with on the same team. You were teammates?
Yeah, we were teammates in AAA.
Okay.
In Columbus in 2008. He came up with the Nationals organization.
Yes, he got drafted by the Nationals. So we're going to talk to Mike about the new manager of the San Diego Padres. And Harley asks, what about our staff? It's such a good question, Harley. We're going to answer that next, because guess what? He was also teammates with Skip Schumaker. So, he's got insight. Telling you he's got insight. It's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And I'm not going to make Mike do any of the reads, but I do want you to definitely consider, if you need a roof, Qualis Roofing. I went through the whole process this spring because I had 2 houses and 4 buildings that needed new roofs. And so, I found a good one, but I didn't find one like Qualis Roofing that has 700 5-star ratings. It's one that would have worked for me too, because I was, commercial and residential. And it's just a great ownership group, whether you're home or business. Your Qualis Roofing has you covered. They specialize in both residential and commercial properties. Storm season is pretty much always in Texas, but especially for next spring, make sure you know about them. Make sure you go to QualisGC.com or just search Qualis Roofing and Construction. That's QUALIS, or call 817-500-9008. You go there, you get a roof inspection, you get a free DLLS t-shirt. Isn't that cool? I think that'd be pretty cool too. And don't forget about PNC Bank. Today's the day. Today's the day. The Main Street pop-up. It's the last day for that Main Street pop-up. And you can go and get one of those fantastic mullet hats. Hockey hair is hard to grow. Financial security is hard to grow too. And PNC has you covered in both aspects of that. All you have to do is go on to the PNC Plaza down there at Victory Park today, and you'll see. I promise you won't miss the pop-up shop, the Main Street branch, MANE. Go there, get your hat, talk to them about some financial freedom and some patience that it takes to grow it. PNC Bank, a proud sponsor of DLLS and the Dallas Stars. All right, and maybe I will make Mike read a couple of these eventually. I don't know. Tomorrow I may have him do it.
I watch you guys quite a bit on YouTube.
I know it, and that's what I was going to tell you. Mike's one of you.
Yeah.
He's out there disagreeing with us. He already told me. We were talking on the phone earlier. He goes, oh, gosh, we were disagreeing. Me and Raymond were on the phone talking about what you were saying. I said, that's all right. I mean, join the club. Everybody disagrees with us. And that's what's cool about it, right? I mean, we all have opinions. Yep. Mike's certainly are more informed than ours. But anyway, so in this segment, we want to get to some trade talk, some non-tender talk, and some Joc Pederson talk. The other news of the day yesterday was that Joc officially opted in, for that $18.5 million opt. So, and it was a given, but it's official now. We'll get to that in a second. But Skip is a teammate of yours in some communist land? What happened?
So in 2006, it was not an Olympic year, but it was an Olympic qualifying year. And so you pick minor leaguers, kind of an all-star minor league team to try to qualify for the Olympics. And I know baseball's getting back into the Olympics. It's been gone for a little bit. Yeah. And Skip was in the Cardinals organization at the time. I was in the Diamondbacks organization at the time. In AAA in 06.
I forgot you were even in that organization.
I didn't play in the major leagues. I didn't have a very good year that year. I went 11-0 with a 2.80 RA in Tucson and never got called up. So
what the heck?
Yeah. So
what the heck?
If you want to say baseball is fair, I will tell you at times it's not. Yeah, you can be pitching the best baseball of your life and it just doesn't matter. But I did get picked to be on the United States Olympic qualifying team. And Skip Schumaker did too. He was an outfielder at the time. I know he played a little bit of infield, but he was an outfielder on the Olympic qualifying team. And we went to Cuba and we won the championship. We beat Cuba in Cuba. We played them for the championship. We both qualified to play in the Olympics. So the top two teams, which it's the toughest one to qualify for because it's also Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Venezuela.
Oh man, baseball.
Colombia, Canada, Mexico. So it was really tough. It wasn't easy to qualify, but we ended up winning the tournament and got to play with Skip, and I loved him as a teammate. Obviously that was 20 years ago, now that I'm thinking about it, 06 to now 2025, almost 26. And obviously we were a lot younger. Skip was a great teammate, a very serious guy. He'd laugh every once in a while, but I just remember him, he's a position player. I'm a pitcher.
Yeah.
There can be a little bit of disconnect there. If
you're a left-handed pitcher, which means you're insane.
Yeah, so you're hanging out with the pitchers a little bit more. I was a relief pitcher on that qualifying team. But I just remember Skip being a great, hardworking teammate, but also a pretty serious guy.
All right, so just out of curiosity, who were the starting pitchers on that team?
Okay, so one of our best, you'll probably remember this. This was sad. Nick Adenhart, who was a pitcher for the Angels. He came up to the major leagues a few years later. And he had a great game, like 5 shutout innings in his debut. And as he was driving back to the hotel or apartment complex, a drunk driver hit him and killed him after one game in the major league. So Nick Adenhart was going to have a great major league career.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, that took his life away. There's a guy named Kevin Slowey who pitched at times for the Twins and some other teams. It's funny you put me on the spot here, and I'm drawing a blank on Jared Saltalamacchia was one of the catchers.
Okay, Salty.
The other catcher, and why am I just drawing a blank? He just got Kirk Suzuki.
Oh,
he just got the managerial job with the Angels.
Yeah.
Those were our two major catchers.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Billy Butler was on the team. He ended up having a great major league career.
Yeah.
Michael Bourne.
Sure.
Chad Allen from Duncanville. So two guys from Duncanville High School
on the team.
Were on the Olympic qualifying team.
Were you guys were at Duncanville at the same time?
He was a senior in 93 was his graduation year. I was 96. So two guys from Duncanville.
Pretty cool.
On that team.
And by the way, when you mentioned the Adenhart tragedy, it's not lost on us what happened to the Dallas Cowboys and their family today. And Mike and I are both Christian men, and just pray for him and that he's found some peace, and for his family. It's just it's a terrible thing, and our job is to talk about baseball. And so somebody in there was like, on one of our shows, oh man, Red's got to go talk about the Rangers bullpen after all this. Yeah. But you know what? That's the job. We'll do it, and believe us, it is not without a heavy heart that we hit these airwaves today. So, so Skip, then, serious guy, which is kind of what you need as a manager. And I think, kind of the way he's described it, he didn't think he was going to be a manager, but he was always on this path.
Yeah.
The way he looked at the game, the way he studied the game, the way he was interested in the game.
The other thing, too, is there's the Cardinal way. And I don't know if it's still the same. Obviously, organizations change throughout time, and I'd say over the last decade, baseball's changed quite a bit.
Sure.
But he came up in the Cardinals way, and that was a lot of thinking baseball.
Yep.
And then he had Tony La Russa as a manager. I think guys like that, they have a good foundation if they end up getting into coaching after baseball. That Cardinal way back in, let's say, the 90s through mid-2000s gave you a good foundation that baseball isn't just hitting, throwing, and catching a baseball. There's more to it. I remember they had some sort of rule, and Skip could, talk about this more. But, like, after they played a game, they had to sit in their locker for, like, 15 minutes and just think about the game.
Wow.
That was part of the game was – you had to afterwards, and he could explain more of it, or a former Cardinal could explain more of it. But we thought it was weird. I came up in Cleveland's organization on, wait a second, so you have to kind of just sit in your locker and think about the game or something like that. And you're like, yeah, that was part of it, is they didn't just say, all right, shower up and go home. Let's think about what just happened.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And again, then they had Lance Lynn was the first guy when he was with the Rangers that I realized he talked a lot about that way, right? And that was the Cardinals way. And so that was even into the aughts when he was coming up there. So pretty cool. And Adam Wainwright, still to this day considered like one of the penultimate best leaders in clubhouses and things like that.
Wasn't Yadi Molina considered one of the smartest players in baseball history?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then, all right. So in short, how do you think Skip is going to do? How do you like the hire?
I love it. I don't like that Bochy left.
Right.
So it's a weird spot. Okay, Bochy left. Dang it. I really hope that he was going to come back for one more year. At the same time, I don't think you could have done better. I really don't. You got probably the hottest guy that was going to hit the market. So if Bochy would have came back, you would have had, we've just talked about it, whether it was San Francisco, San Diego, Atlanta, Baltimore. I think all of those teams would have said, we are interviewing Skip Schumaker as one of our first interviews because we think that he's the guy we need to interview and see if we're right about our thought because of what he was able to accomplish in Miami. Manager of the year. I mean, come on. Miami made the playoffs in 2023. Not 2020 where everybody made the playoffs. 2023, he made the playoffs with the Miami Marlins. And that is so impressive. He's a guy, too. I remember going to Miami that year in 2023. He probably threw 30 minutes worth of batting practice
no kidding.
as the manager.
Wow.
He is a hands-on guy. He is going to be working his tail off, whether it's hitting fungo ground balls, whether it's throwing batting practice. He is going to be a guy that I know believes a lot in the mental game. He believes in analytics, but he also knows how to, I think, look a guy in the eye and get a sense on, do they want the ball? Do they not want the ball? Do they want this at bat? Do they not want this at bat? Because no matter what the numbers say that this dude bats 370 against left-handers throwing 92 with a slider like this, if I look in his eyes and his last 5 at bats, he's 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts, I can tell you if he is going to bat 370 in this or if he's going to bat 0 in this, because he does not believe in himself right now. Or you can look in a guy's eyes and you just know he wants it right now and he's going to be my best guy to come through. And that's something that I love analytics, but it'll never be able to look at human beings.
Yeah. So are all managers capable of that, right? Or is maybe Skip has that sort of innate ability to do that?
I think Skip has that. Yeah. I do think Dave Roberts has that. I think that, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. The Blue Jays manager has
John
that.
Schneider.
Yeah, thank you. I do think the best have that.
Yeah.
I think about a decade ago, I think baseball decided, who cares that human beings are playing?
Right.
We have all the numbers. These people managing teams aren't really worth much. If you remember, they cut salaries tremendously, Rads, when it came to managers, under $1 million to manage a Major League Baseball team, because they just thought they didn't really matter. Here's the handout, hand it out to the players, and let's go play baseball, and it'll be like the computer game, the show that my kids play on PlayStation. And I think they found out that there is a mix. Those numbers mean a lot, but they're humans playing, and we need a human managing the humans.
Okay, so we need some more humans coaching the humans, too.
So
yeah,
we do.
How the hell? Oh, sorry, Kat. I think we said we can say hell. So when the hell are we going to do that, Mike? What's going on? Right. It seems like it's taking too long. Maybe I'm just being impatient.
So watching the show the last few days, and I'm watching people text in and, on the bottom screen, I get to see it when I'm watching on YouTube, and it's like, hey, how come they're not doing what Mark Cuban did a decade ago in free agency, this and that? And I actually saw one earlier about like, who's going to be the first to sign? Why aren't they signing anybody? You've had free agency for a few days. I talked to Scott Boras about this a year or so ago. And he said, there's no salary cap in baseball. In basketball, especially, it's somewhat hard capped, especially in free agency, because you can't go over a number if you're under the number. So teams are spending quickly. Same in football. They know exactly their budget. Agents don't know team-by-team budgets because there's no budget. There's no number that we know that the Rangers won't go over a certain number most likely, but the agents aren't 100% sure on where that number is. So to that point, I would say I would want to get my coaching staff in place publicly as fast as possible.
Okay.
Even though free agency is very slow. I don't know, a free agent right now. I know Framber Valdez isn't coming to the Texas Rangers. I'll use him for an example. Framber Valdez might go, who's your pitching coach?
Yeah.
Mike Maddox is one of the best, if not the best in the game at putting together game plans for his pitcher.
Yes.
So what makes Mike Maddox so successful? Yes, he understands mechanics and there's other things too, but he can say, all right, leadoff guy, this is how we want to attack him. Here's the secondary if it's not working out this way. And he can keep going through, and when he goes out to the mound, he can help you, whether it's mentally, but he can also help you with, if we start him off with this pitch here and then that pitch there, we have a great chance of getting that third pitch as an out if the first two don't work out. So you've lost that. You don't have that anymore. So I need to know, as a pitcher, if I'm somewhat of a pretty valuable free agent, I need to know who's the guy that's going to help me with my game plans.
Yeah.
Who's the guy that's going to be talking about mechanics? Is he a guy that's just going to hand me a sheet of paper because he's a real analytic guy? Is he a guy that really is a mechanical guy? Where's this guy coming from? Same with the hitting coach situation too. Even though we have an idea on where they're going hitting coach wise, I think that those things need to be in place. So if you're going after, whether it's big time free agents or guys that are just supposed to help you out as helper players, not star players. They need to know who their coach is going to be.
And when you say we have an idea, you think in Cintron, the kid from, or the young man from Houston.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
I don't think it's official, but
Yeah.
I think we have a good idea that that's the route they're taking.
Yeah.
And here's the deal: we don't know. What if they have a good idea on who maybe their pitching coach is, and also assistant pitching coach, but they want it all together in one press conference? They don't want to do a press conference on Friday, then a press conference on Tuesday. Let's just knock it all out.
And history suggests that that's how the Rangers are going to do it. They like, sort of announcing the whole staff at the same time. So maybe the pitching coach is just taking a little bit longer for whatever reason and slowing up the process. But anyway, I promise you it is being worked on. Next up, we got to talk about some players on the Rangers, and then maybe we'll get to this, and if we don't today, we will tomorrow. Some free agent wish list type stuff. It's all coming next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Hey, and do this for us. Join the Supporters Club. You can't spell Bacsik without sick. So one of these days, we might get him to join us for some of the sicko level stuff. Jeff and I actually did a video yesterday for the supporters. I hope you've seen it. And it was fun. It was more serious than sicko because this is the time of year where the hot stove's, burning, Mike. So we were talking about realistic and unrealistic free agents. I'm going to throw one of those names at Mike either today or tomorrow, my unrealistic one. And I don't know that it is that unrealistic. I hope it's not. But if you've seen that video yet, you know what I'm talking about. It's the coolest thing about being in the Supporters Club is all these behind-the-scenes videos that we produce for you, and we do it on the Cowboys beat and the Stars beat and the Mavericks beat and, of course, the Rangers beat. So $15 or either $5 to join the Supporters Club. It's a fantastic club. The newsletter is a fantastic newsletter. Ollie worked so hard on it, and I'll tell you right now, as soon as that Cowboys show ended, Clarence Hill and Ali Jawad went working. I mean, went, straight into their computers to start writing stuff about this tragedy that has happened to the Dallas Cowboys and to their fans. And of course, to a family in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's just, it's such tragic news. But the point is, our guys are working on it from every angle right now. So bye week for the Cowboys, I'm not so sure. These guys will be busy, and they'll be cranking out all kinds of great content, as well as what Jeff does on a regular basis and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, all of that stuff is encapsulated, too, in our newsletter for free. And all you have to do is scroll to the bottom of our website page. It's alldlls.com, and just give us your email and ask for the newsletter, and you'll get it every day in your inbox. Okay. So let's start talking players a little bit here, Mike. And I teased it earlier. Joc Pederson has opted in to the $18.5 million. This one was a player option. Yeah. I'm not positive I realized, but there is a mutual option next year as well. Yeah. Now, that said, look, if he has a year like this, like it takes two to tango there, and there will only be one tangoing, right? Yeah. But who knows? I mean, if he has a year like he had in Arizona last year, who knows? Maybe they'd pick that up. But first things first. All right, $18.5 million. Mm-hmm. And Joc Pederson had 306 at-bats. Yeah. 181. 285, 328 slash line with 9 home runs. Look, Chris Young wants to say and does, and he did. He got better in August than he did. Joc did. But, I mean, come on.
Yeah, it was. You would have never guessed that year, especially from spring training. He was arguably your best hitter in spring training. Yeah. And then it just, as soon as opening day happened, it just fell apart for him. And he, for the most part, yes. Did he get better? He got better, but he still wasn't Joc Pederson of Arizona in August or September.
Right.
He's on your team. I mean, you just mentioned the number. He's on your team. I guess what I'm hoping for realistically is he's in between the 2025 Texas Ranger and the 2024 Arizona Diamondback.
Is that, and that's like the best you can hope for?
I won't say best. I think that's realistic. I mean, the best you could hope for is he turns back to Arizona, crushing righties, Joc Pederson. But I don't know. I don't know. I think that, one, Chris Young knew there was kind of a major problem with his lineup in 24. And there was more issues than just this. But two of the major issues is if you looked at the offensive production from first base and you looked at the offensive production from DH, it was well below average, to be nice. Okay. And then he goes out and he gets Jake Berger and he goes and gets Joc Pederson. And it looked good. I think you were optimistic about it. I was optimistic about it. And it actually got worse from 2025. The two weakest offensive positions in your lineup were first base and DH. You tried to improve them for the 25 season, and they ended up regressing even more. And so now you look at those two positions. I think that Skip Schumaker believes, because he had Jake Berger in Miami, is that he can get more out of Jake Berger. Not that anybody did anything wrong to Jake Berger. Boch was a great manager. We saw they changed hitting coaches during the season. That didn't work too much. It helped a little bit. They're going to have a new hitting coach, this year to help that out a little bit. But Skip believes that he can get Jake Berger back to maybe the guy that they liked, that they picked up from the Miami Marlins. Joc Pederson, I don't know.
He's hard to unlock. He's hard to, he's just kind of aloof, even for us. And I know you're a former player. Maybe you could have a different relationship. But even from our perspective, as you try to get to know him, he just has kind of this, aloofness about him.
Well, and he's changed teams. If you pulled up his baseball reference, in the last 5 years, if I said he's played for 5 teams, I might be wrong. He might be 6.
Yeah.
So he's moved around a lot. Yeah. There's quite a few teams that have had him. He's produced in a positive way at times for those teams, but they have decided not to hold on to him.
Yes.
So he's an interesting guy who, I guess if his leash last year was 2 months.
Yes.
Until he got hit by the pitch.
Yeah.
And I think they were getting close to we just have to make a change.
Right.
We can't have a 100 hitting DH who's having a 200 slugging percentage.
No.
We just can't do it.
No.
But he got hit by a pitch, which took him out for a while. This year, I hope that this isn't the case. But if after 2 weeks, if he's, 2 for 25 to start the year, you might just have to go, we just have to move on because we don't have enough guys in this lineup. Now, I don't know what they're going to do in the offseason and changing it, but it doesn't look like there's going to be enough guys in the lineup to maybe cover for that.
Right. You've only got 13 essentially, or 5th position players.
Yeah.
Right. And so he can't be one of them if he's only a DH anyway.
Yeah.
And if he's completely unproductive. Yeah.
If he's the starting DH, which I think he will be to start the year, he has to get off to at least an average start because I think that the leash will be very short on keeping him in the lineup on a daily basis against righties.
All right, so trades or non-tenders. This is an interesting one because I was just perusing through the stuff as I do on the morning, every morning, getting ready for the show, Mike, and I think it was not the Prospect Times, but the MLB trade rumors.
Yep.
And you've seen this, you see the show. We've talked a lot about Adolis and Jonah. Likely, worst case, they'll be non-tendered, but one way or the other, either they're going to try to trade him or possibly non-tender them because they're positions that, again, neither one of them has been able to improve. In fact, they've regressed each year since 2023. So we keep hearing those names over and over again. But this morning, trade rumors added Josh Young to that list. I had not thought that he was, in danger, if you will, of not being tendered in a contract. But what are your thoughts about Josh in the sort of the same, breath or sentence or consideration as the other two?
I really liked Josh Young when he came up to the major leagues.
Yeah.
I liked his attitude. Obviously, after 23, he did have an injury after making the All-Star team. He came back, and you don't win the World Series if he's not in your lineup.
Yep.
He had some good defensive plays and some really good at-bats that helped you win a championship. But he got hurt really quick in 24, so that was pretty much a lost season. Last year, he struggled tremendously to ever find consistency at a major league level. And so I can see why the Rangers, it's a rumor, MLB trade rumors.
Yeah, of course.
I can see why the rumor is out there that maybe they're going to move on. And here's where timing is tough and we won't know. I have no clue who you want as the major free agent pickup. I'm just throwing a person out there.
Okay.
Alex Bregman.
Okay.
Well, let's just say you get, I think he's a Boris guy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say you start getting positive talk in the next 72 hours. And I don't know the day that you have to tender or non-tender. I don't know that date. But you start feeling pretty good about an Alex Bregman as an example. Well, then you might go, well, what would we do with Josh Young if we are getting a free agent third baseman? Or Jeff Wilson has talked quite a bit about possibly trading Marcus Semien. I have no clue if they're going to or not.
Yeah.
But let's just say they did, and what they got back was a third baseman. Well, now what do you do with Josh Young? So the timing on this is going to be very interesting. The thing about Josh Young is going into his fourth year.
Yeah.
If you tender him and somehow you can't trade him or he's on the team, he's not going to cost very much money.
No, that's right.
That's the thing. The scary thing about Adolis Garcia is if we tender him, and I say we, the Rangers, and you aren't able to trade him, I'm not sure financially that's going to work out well for the Rangers. So those are the tough decisions.
Because again, I think the projections are he's a $12 million to $15 million guy.
Yeah.
And you're not getting that kind of production. You weren't getting $9 million out of him last year.
Multi-time All-Star, finished second in Gold Glove, has a Gold Glove.
Yep.
I mean, like it or not, those guys when they hit arbitration get a pretty decent number.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And so and a guy like Young too did not. He doesn't have ties to Chris Young.
Yeah.
Right. To Chris Young, Josh Young, spelled differently. But so there's also always that in the consideration. And I don't know, probably doesn't have any ties to Skip either. But those kinds of things factor in, just like you said, with Skip and Jake Berger having that relationship.
Yep.
That's a positive. That's why when people talk in the chat and stuff about other first basemen, I'm like, Skip Schumaker is going to absolutely give Jake Berger every bit of opportunity that he can give him this year.
I believe that Skip Schumaker believes in Jake Berger, the guy who can hit 30 home runs.
Yep.
Now, but to your point, Chris Young, 2019 was Josh Young's draft year. Chris Young had nothing to do with the Texas Rangers in 2019.
Right.
He wasn't here for any of that. Now, the guy who drafted him, Kip Fagg, is still here. So there is somebody in that room if this conversation happens about bringing Josh Young back or not, he'll have maybe somebody in that room. But you talked about the coaching staff. Nobody on that coaching staff, as far as I know, is really connected to Josh Young, that his career matters to their career. I know that sounds weird, but this is the reality of professional sports is, let's just say for Chris Young, the president, and Ross Fenstermaker, the general manager, hey, man, Kumar Rocker, Jack Leiter, they're connected pretty strongly to those guys. Like they really want to see them succeed, and they're going to give them opportunities to succeed because their name is connected to those draft picks.
Right. Yeah. No, that's exactly right. And that's why when it ever comes up in the chat about, we hardly ever hear anything about move on from Leiter. He had such a good year, but people are frustrated and shouldn't be, but I get it, are frustrated with Rocker.
Yeah.
They're not moving on from Rocker either. And I don't think they're even thinking about a position where they would move him to the bullpen. Not yet anyway.
No, unfortunately for Rocker, ever since his junior year at Vanderbilt, he hasn't been healthy.
Yeah.
You just look at his innings pitched to Jack Leiter. He hasn't learned how to pitch yet. I hate saying that. SEC baseball, 10% of the guys that he faced will play in the major leagues.
Yeah.
So 90%, and the SEC is the best baseball conference in college. He's only 8 out of 9 out of 10 guys he's facing will never sniff one day in the major leagues.
Right.
That's who he was dominating.
Yep.
And then from that point on, he's been hurt most of his career, and he's not getting the innings to understand how to get hitters out on a consistent basis. Hopefully, as 2026 progresses, you will see major improvement from Rocker because of 24 and 25. He's got to pitch still not enough innings, but at least some innings to learn how to pitch at a professional level.
All right. That's great. That's perfect. We've got more coming up. Tomorrow we'll get into all this free agent stuff, which was maybe going to happen today, but it's not now because we got the cleanup segment and lots to talk about there as well. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And would you like to become a diehard? I think you would. because there's so much available behind the paywall. If you would just become a diehard, you would have access to all of it, and you would also have 20% off all of our events and 20% off merchandise that's also available there, especially with the holidays coming up. 20% off, nothing to sneeze at, and the prices are not terrible at all. They're pretty good actually on our merch that's out there. So become a diehard and get access to all of those things. It's $79.99, and I promise you, any of the others that you could go out there and become a member of, that cover the local 4 teams, are a lot more than that, because I think the only other option that covers all 4 local teams is the Dallas Morning News. I love it. I still get the paper, like open it up, read the paper. Right? I love it, but I'm just saying it's a heck of a lot more than what we're asking you to pay. And so anyway, become a diehard. $79.99. You will not regret it, and you will not regret getting a shirt. This is this was like lost and then found. I thought I lost this, but I really like this flag shirt. I don't know if it's tied to the wings. Is it? Yeah, it's tied to the wings. Our WNBA team. But I like how the bright green pops off the blue, and people, man, they'll see me coming talking about DLLS.
Direct traffic with that one.
Darn right, I will. I'm not as scared to have people look at me. Hey, look at me. So anyway, merchandise store.allcitynetwork.com. Shirts like this that pop, or others that aren't quite as out there. They might be a little more subtle, or others that are even more out there, like the one of Nolan Ryan punching Robin Ventura those many years ago. They're all out there. They're all available. They're all there at store.allcitynetwork.com. We like our merchandise. We think you will too, and we'd appreciate you, representing just a little bit. One more segment today with Mike Bacsik. Gosh, it's going by quickly.
It has. I was reading some of the stuff up there while.
Okay. Anybody got anything?
Well, I just saw that the All About Sports Zone was talking about Evan Carter, kind of saying, talking about Josh Young and maybe moving on from him. Well, Evan Carter's kind of had the injury history.
Sure.
Evan Carter's not arbitration eligible. He's still a league minimum guy.
Yeah,
so there's a big difference between
Yeah.
Josh Young's salary next year and Evan Carter's salary next year. So they don't fit into the same category.
And I saw that. I briefly saw that too. Trade Joc and JJ for anybody, right? It doesn't even matter what names you put after.
Yeah.
Nobody is taking that. Right. No other team wants. I mean, I suppose they, maybe their lowest 2-level minor leaguers, a team might trade those 2 for.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to take on Joc Pederson's $18.5 million contract, or a guy in Josh Young who isn't expensive right now. Obviously, that part's not the problem, but just he's not a known quantity either. So some of the trades that we suggest just aren't real. Nolan Arenado? No, you're not getting Nolan Arenado for those 2 guys. You're just not. So anyway, we appreciate you though, and that is that the Padres, as we mentioned earlier in the show, have named Craig Stammen as their manager. And I heard about this driving in on MLB radio, and they were shocked, and I was shocked. And I've been keeping a close eye on this, getting ready for baseball show every day, Mike, and I've not heard his name once. I
had no clue that this was a possibility. Teammate of mine, like I said, in Columbus in 07-08 in the Nationals organization. And this is nothing against Craig Stammen, because I'm in the same category here. He had 100 times better career. I'm a former pitcher.
Yeah.
I don't like former pitchers being managers. We don't see the game. Getting to be around Mark McLemore and Steve Buechele and David Murphy,
Bruce Bochy.
I love getting their opinions, because pitchers see the game differently than position players. Position players are actually more emotionally connected with the ebbs and flows of the momentum of a game, whereas a pitcher, when I'm on the mound, I come sit back in the dugout and I'm thinking about the next 3 guys I'm going to face. My guy could hit a big 3-run homer, and maybe I stand up and give him 5 and everything. And there's a few guys, maybe a guy like Al Leiter, Jack's dad, who could maybe play off of that emotion. A few guys can, but we see the game differently. You were around us, so, during games, we do a pregame, let's say me and Mac, and we would sit there and watch a moment in the game, and we'd both have valid points on it, but they'd be different perspectives.
Different. Yeah.
And so I just think that when you're a former pitcher, having to really manage the players more than the pitchers, it becomes difficult. Not that you have to be a former player, but I do think it helps out a lot to understand that playing every day and playing a little bit off of the momentum of certain moments of a game.
So we may have to do a deeper dive and research on this, but off the top of your head, who's the best former pitcher that became a manager?
Well, would it be Tommy Lasorda?
Maybe.
I mean, that's who I'm thinking of.
I can't think of very many pitchers, to your point.
Yeah.
I can't think of pitchers who have become managers.
Well, why am I drawing a blank? He was there forever with Colorado. He just got let go.
Yes.
He was with Kansas City as a pitcher for a while.
Yeah.
He was actually a roving instructor when I was with Cleveland, and I loved him because the name is just drawing a blank.
And the other one that just entered my head, Bud Black.
Bud Black, that's who it was in Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah. But nothing against Bud Black. I think he did a solid job. I'm going to be honest. I think that's kind of an impossible job in Colorado now to be successful.
Now it is.
But I just think that it's very tough to be a former pitcher and be a manager. And I know you ran into a lot of other issues, but Mickey Callaway, who was my teammate with Texas, he was a great pitching coach and then got pushed into a managerial role. There are things that were
Roger
a little
Craig
bit
back in the 80s.
Very good, actually. He is solid.
Yeah.
I'm just more of a position player guy for a manager.
Yeah, and there's a reason a lot of them are catchers, right?
Because they deal with both.
Because some of the best managers come from the catching ranks. So an interesting hire. He has spent like 3 years in the front office with A.J. Preller, and I think that's also a bit of a trend in baseball right now in that it's become more of an extension, not even more of an extension. It's like a collaboration in a way now, Mike, where it's the front office and the manager. I think it used to be like when I first started covering the game, manager did this and the front office did this. And of course they knew each other and they were coworkers and often friends, but it wasn't like the general manager was having, daily contact with the guy about what to do.
Yeah, and the analytic team too.
Right.
Because they travel with the team, and I got to know the analytic department better this season, and I mean, they work their tails off to give the manager and the coaching staff as much information as possible, but they're also giving the front office as much information as possible. So, like, I love what you're saying, but it's almost like front office, coaching staff / manager, and the analytic team all come together and try to put together a plan on how do we best win this game? How do we best win this series? How do we best win 90-plus games in a season?
Yeah, which is not an easy thing to do. And you don't even need that these days to make the playoffs, but 90 is seemingly a pretty good goal. Interesting that you've got Don Mattingly there, Kirdua in the chat, because he's next on my list right here. Not going to be back with the Blue Jays next year. And he's, opted out. I mean, his contract was up, but he's told the Blue Jays he's not coming back. That said, he says he's not retiring. He wants to, explore other challenges in baseball. So, the question there, could he be a part of the coaching staff since he's leaving Toronto? I suppose he could.
I got to talk to Don Mattingly this year in Toronto as the Rangers played him in. I want to say it was kind of early September, maybe late August.
Yeah.
The problem that I have with Don Mattingly is I was drooling so much with my tongue out because I couldn't believe I was talking to Donnie Baseball. Don Mattingly. I was just kind of awestruck in that moment, just listening to him talking about his team, talking about the hitting that they're doing and how well they're playing as a team. I would love to have Don Mattingly. At the same time, I don't know who it is for you, and he's not the only person, but when I got to talk to Don Mattingly and really more listen to him and just like keep staring at him, that was so awesome to have a job like we have and to get to meet people like that is awesome. So do you have anybody that
it was Jim Palmer for me. I mean, because again, he was not only this great pitcher, and it wasn't my team. He was on the Orioles. I was a Tigers guy, but he was this great pitcher, but he was like an underwear model and all that stuff too in his day, and so, but Jim well enough to know. So when I first got to meet him and stuff, and it was so cool, and he knew who I was and all that, and then all of a sudden he's talking, and I'm like, I'm not sure I want to talk to Jim Palmer anymore. He will talk on you.
That is true, and he's still with the Orioles and doing a good job. Now let me ask you this, because I don't know this, and you might not know it off the top of your head. Did Skip Schumaker and Don Mattingly have any time together with the Dodgers? Because that's the only way I could see it. Because I don't think Skip and Don Mattingly have any type of real tie unless somehow, some way.
When the Dodgers, when Skip was there. All right, we'll work on that. We'll check on that. Meantime, we'll tell you, and this is great news for me. I think you really like him too. Leody Taveras is back. He signed a 1-year deal with the Orioles, and I'm so glad for him. I loved this kid in the organization, and I didn't blame the Rangers for doing what they did because he wasn't getting it done. That said, I'll be really happy and hopeful that he has, he kind of rebounds and resurrects his career with the Orioles.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the Orioles are one of those teams that I don't know why they were so bad last year.
Either.
No, I could really quickly say their pitching was horrible.
Sure.
But their offense wasn't awesome, and their offense should have been awesome. So it'll be interesting. Leody in a different situation, but now fighting for a job in spring training. And for the last 5 years, he has not had to really fight for a job, or maybe 4 years, fight for a job in spring training.
Yeah, they tried to create that competition with he and Evan last year.
Right. But it was for the starting spot more than – I know Evan got sent down because he had options. But.
Yeah, that's right. So, and then Dylan Tate was outrighted by the Jays. And again, that what a sorry draft pick.
Number 4 overall pick.
For the Rangers.
Do you remember that year where the Rangers were – the worst or second worst team, and the last 10 games they played really well?
Yes.
And there was no lottery like there is now.
Right.
And so they fell to 4, and pick number 2 was the guy they liked the most, and that was Alex
Bregman, that's right. Oh,
so that's who they wanted out of LSU. He was a shortstop at LSU.
Yeah.
And that's who the Rangers loved in that draft. But the last week they won like 5 out of 6 or 7 out of 10 and went from like the first or second pick to the 4th pick.
Oh my gosh. Those little things, the one that got away kind of thing.
I will give the Rangers credit and John Daniels credit for this. They quickly realized Dylan Tate was not going to be the guy they drafted, and they traded for Carlos Beltran, who did help them out.
Okay. And there's All About Sports Zone saying the Dodgers in 2013, they crossed paths, and then he replaced Mattingly in Miami.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
I don't know their relationship.
Yeah, there's a possible tie there. I mean, just because Skip had nothing to do with Donnie Baseball being out in Miami. So who knows?
I do love what the Rangers did last year. It didn't ultimately work out, and it's nothing against Brett Boone. I did like that they had an older former hitter who really was like, this is how you have an approach, this is how you take what the pitcher gives, this is how you kind of hit with 2 strikes. And I'm not saying other guys didn't do that, and Donnie Eckert didn't do any of that, but what I'm saying is Don Mattingly played in an era where striking out was a big negative. And I do know for Chris Young, he doesn't like his guys striking out 14 times in a game. Think about it. You only put pressure on the defense to make 13 outs.
Right.
And you got to put more pressure on. We saw even in playoffs, you can sometimes put pressure on defenses where they'll make the mistake and give you a run or give you a major opportunity. I do love the way Don Mattingly got, and I'm not giving him all the credit, but he got a lot of it, how the Blue Jays used the whole field, how they had a 2-strike approach, how they were just really tough to get off of that field and get them back out there pitching, because he was like, we're not going to give these at-bats away or just swing for a 3-run homer when nobody's on base and we're down by 3 runs. We got to get 2 guys on base first, guys.
I talked about it after Game 4, which was the first Ohtani start. And I said, I think he got the first 2 hitters and 5 pitches. And I'm thinking, and I was rooting for the Blue Jays big time because I had, you saw it. I said, the Dodgers aren't going to win. So anyway, then I'm like, oh, here we go. 5 pitches he got the first 2 outs. It's going to be a 7-pitch inning. And, they didn't make him work out. And I'll be danged if some next guy got a walk, next guy got a hit. Next thing you know, it's a 20-pitch inning. Right. And that is, and that was the only one of those that Ohtani had actually, but that's really big when you can go from 5 and add 15 there. And about pitch counts with pitchers and stuff. Yeah. I mean, huge.
Yeah. And nowadays you have, I'll give the benefit of the doubt, you have 3 really good relief pitchers. Mm-hmm. That leaves you with 5 guys you really want to hit off of.
Okay.
If I can get that pitcher out in the 5th inning, I now get to hit off of the 5 worst pitchers on the staff of whoever I'm facing.
Yeah.
If that guy gets through 6 innings, if he gets 18 outs or more, I never get to face a guy that the manager doesn't want to use. So think of it that way when you're watching a game. Can I face one of the 5 worst guys on this pitching staff? The only way I usually can is if I get that starting pitcher out at 15 outs or less.
Do the 5 worst guys know they're the worst?
In a way, yes.
Oh, do they?
Because
okay.
they're not pitching. Right?
Just wonder.
They're not pitching in hold situations in the 7th or 8th,
sure.
and they're not closing out the 9th. So it's not like, oh, I really stink at this, but you know who kind of the 2 major guys are usually. The Rangers last year was mixing it around a lot, but most teams know kind of who their 3 major guys they want to use to win games, and the 5 other guys fill in where you get in.
Yeah, fantastic. People are already asking for you back.
Tomorrow.
News. Good news. We're going to have him back tomorrow. And we'll talk about that. Wash as the third base coach. We've floated that out. Mike probably saw it. Anyway, fun time with Mike. As always, we'll do it again tomorrow. We appreciate you. We'll see you then on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.